Chapter 278, Fighting Bibi Dong again, the Tang Army's first show of force, CL by Babelson. On the battlefield, Ning Rongrong's body had completely disappeared. All that remained was a 7-meter-tall 9-floor pagoda sparkling with resplendent light. Seeing this scene, Ning Fengji in the Heaven Do Empire Spirit Master camp couldn't keep his eyes from shining, his fists tightening, his excitement showing through. Indeed, this was the 8th spirit ring the 7 treasure glazed tile school had never reached. At the same time as the first 6 spirit ring ability boosts rose to 90%, this 8th spirit ability also became the 9 treasure glazed tile pagoda spirit Douluo Ning Rongrong's secret life-saving skill. This 8th spirit ability was known as 9 treasure divine light protection. Even though it wasn't as absolute of a defense as invincible golden body, the 9 treasure divine light protection could block any attack under the 9th spirit ability, and simultaneously also absorb the attacking spirit power and transform it into defensive power for the 9 treasure divine light protection. And when facing 9th spirit ability attacks, it could block 9 times without breaking. When the 9 treasure divine light protection was used, it would separate from the spirit master and no longer draw any of Ning Rongrong's spirit power. At the same time, it also wouldn't influence her boosting the others. In fact, even title Douluo level powers were quite good if they could use their 9th spirit ability attack 3 or 4 times with their full strength. This was also why Ning Rongrong told her comrades to not pay any attention to her. Even though that agility attack type title Douluo was strong, he had focused most of his spirit power on speed in order to deal with Ning Rongrong as soon as possible. It seemed to him that his attack power was enough and spare to easily end Ning Rongrong's life even without using spirit abilities. But who could have thought he would knock headfirst into Ning Rongrong's 9 treasure divine light protection? With a loud sound, that pitiful black line ghost panther spirit master was flung back. The spirit power added to his attack completely absorbed by the 9 treasure divine light protection. Not only was there no harm to Ning Rongrong, he was instead injured by the countershock. The battlefield was already a bit chaotic. The 9 people led by Tang San against 9 spirit hall title Douluo. Tang San's people who could previously still kill the enemies in bulk were suddenly completely suppressed. On Tang San's side, only he and Douluo truly had title Douluo level strength. Douluo was completely restrained, while Tang San even faced the Spirit Empire Empress, with spirit power at rank 99, Bibi Dong. Although Bibi Dong couldn't show her full strength, the absolute difference in spirit power was still extremely difficult for Tang San to overcome. Even with Ning Rongrong's boost, there was still a large gap between him and Bibi Dong. On their side, the one doing best was instead Tang Sect medicine hall master, all attack type battle spirit Douluo Yang. Even if Yang Wudi's spirit power still hadn't reached rank 90, it was still somewhat deeper than the other Shrek 7 devils. Plus Ning Rongrong's boost, he wasn't in any way inferior to Snakeland's Douluo in terms of spirit power. The two were evenly matched, and Yang Wudi's always advancing soul-breaking spear caused Snakeland's Douluo a very large headache, especially some great killing moves that would leave both sides suffering put Qilong at a disadvantage. Meanwhile, even though the Sacred Dragon Legion had lost their commander and deputy, they still showed the strength of Spirit Empire elites. 10,000 spirit masters swept past the middle of the battlefield, directly towards the Heaven Do Empire army. They would soon enter spirit ability attack range. Marshal Ji Long looked a bit anxiously at Grandmaster. State Preceptor, shouldn't our spirit masters also release their spirits and attack? Grandmaster shook his head. Not yet. Don't be impatient, Marshal. While speaking, Grandmaster's gaze turned towards the 7 treasure glazed tile school in the center of the formation. Ning Fengji was also just looking in his direction. Their eyes met, and Grandmaster gave Ning Fengji an emphatic nod. Ning Fengji gave a big thumbs up in understanding. Along with a long vigorous cry, Sword Douluo Chenshin leapt up, his 7-kill sword suddenly bursting with light. A wind rose out of nowhere. At the same moment, 6 lines of support light shot like lightning from Ning Fengji's 7 treasure glazed tile pagoda, simultaneously pouring into Sword Douluo. In that instant, that 7-kill sword swept out with a 100-meter long, 30-meter wide giant sword image. This cut wasn't to attack the enemy, but rather to sweep the ground in front of the Sacred Dragon Legion's charging spirit masters. Rank 97 Sword Douluo, with Ning Fengji's 80% boost, rose to rank 98 spirit power in practically a split second. Right now he could already compare to Bibi Dong while she couldn't fully release her spirit power. That sky-shaking sword cut filled the sky, landing in front of the Sacred Dragon Legion almost instantly. The incomparably sharp sword energy made the whole 10,000 strong Sacred Dragon Legion pause as one, and immediately after, a series of enormous explosions resounded, all the ground seeming to burst open. The Elephant Armored School and Sacred Dragon School spirit masters charging furthest in front of the Sacred Dragon Legion were blasted into the air by this one slash, directly flung several dozen meters high. The sharp sword energy lacerated their bodies, and even though it couldn't kill them due to the attack range being too large, their fur and scales sprayed in all directions, producing a great cloud of blood. Just at this moment, Grandmaster sharply waved his right hand. Tang Army, loose. Weng, along with the ear-shattering sonorous clangs, a widely spread humming sound echoed for a moment. The more than 10,000 Tang Army soldiers simultaneously, and for the first time on a battlefield, loosed the devastating bolts of the godly Juga crossbow. Black crossbow bolts formed a concentrated shadow in the air, both mounted and on foot Tang Army soldiers using the godly Juga crossbows in their hands to paint the splendor of death. The Elephant Armored School and Sacred Dragon School spirit masters furthest ahead were already unable to protect the spirit masters in the rear. Those agility attack type spirit masters flanking on either side were also each exposed before the godly Juga crossbows of the 1,000 Tang Army soldiers led by Tang Sect strength Hallmaster Titan and defense Hallmaster Nuigao. More than 12,000 Tang Army soldiers, each with a godly Juga crossbow spitting out 16 refined iron-tipped crossbow bolts. What kind of scene was that? Close to 200,000 crossbow bolts formed what seemed like a black cloud on the ground, spreading to the front line of the Sacred Dragon Army in a split second. In order to make the charge even more effective, in order to let the spirit masters show their strength in the first moment of engagement, the Sacred Dragon Legion's formation was very dispersed. It was also just because of this that they met even more godly Juga crossbow attacks head-on. In the Heaven Do Imperial Army formation, Emperor Shuibeng was already tightly clenching his fists. He had waited for this moment for far too long. As the highest ruler of the Heaven Do Empire, of course he understood how important the meaning of the godly Juga crossbow's effect was to this war. Even at several dozen li from the main battlefield, the sound of more than 10,000 godly Juga crossbows erupting at once still chilled the heart. At the same time, the instant that black cloud entered the Sacred Dragon Legion, causing a scene of a large cloud of blood shooting into the air, safety could be seen in Shuibeng's eyes. Along with the sight, also came heart-rending screams of misery. Where the black godly Juga crossbow bolt cloud passed, the Sacred Dragon Legion spirit masters collapsed like wheat to the scythe. That was close to 200,000 crossbow bolts that could pierce 4-ring defensive spirit abilities. The front of the Sacred Dragon Legion was still somewhat fine. They were after all mostly power attack type spirit masters with the support type spirit masters further in the back. But the agility attack type spirit masters on the wings weren't that fortunate. No matter how fast the agility attack type spirit masters, it was impossible to outrun the godly Juga crossbows bolts. In practically a split second, close to a third of the agility attack type spirit masters with relatively weak defense on the wings collapsed. Only those with relatively high levels, or those who reacted cleverly and moved to escape were out of danger. Even though the Sacred Dragon Legion spirit masters were mainly power attack type spirit masters, using their raw flesh to block such a dense godly Juga crossbow attack was still an extremely terrifying event. Almost each of the ones charging furthest ahead were hit by more than 100 crossbow bolts. 16 crossbow bolts could admittedly only break 4-ring defenses, but when facing 100 at the same time, then even 5-ring level defensive abilities might not be able to block them completely. Even more, the moment the godly Juga crossbows loosed, how many Sacred Dragon Legion spirit masters have released their defensive spirit abilities? A full 2 lines. More than 1,000 Sacred Dragon Legion spirit masters erupted with an abundant and gaudy mist of blood, and those heart-rending screams of misery echoed within that bloodbath. Adding the losses of the 2 wings of agility attack type spirit masters, a single volley had reduced the entire Sacred Dragon Legion's numbers by almost a sixth. Shuibeng waved his hand in excitement. The Tang Army's first action had already had an enormously surprising result, even though it was too distant to clearly see the numbers of the enemy losses. The rising blood mist showed the scope of their damage. Even more, this was just the beginning. Wind mechanisms. Mount up. Grandmaster was as cold as a block of ice. Under his orders, the Tang Army soldiers quickly wound up the mechanisms, and the Sacred Dragon Legion was already scared a bit senseless by this volley. Meanwhile, Sword Douluo didn't pause after the first flash. Flipping over in midair, his spirit power abruptly emanated below his feet, and like a star chasing the moon, he shot straight for the battle of powers in the center. The 7-kill sword pointing forward, his target was that black-lined ghost panther Douluo. Bibi Dong and Tang San were just intensely trading blows. When her Death Spider Emperor's 6th spirit ability blood-sucking spider thorns was just about to stab Tang San, was at the same moment as the godly Juga crossbows erupted. Bibi Dong's movement slowed for a moment, her eyes filled with disbelief. How could Tang San let such a chance slip by? His right foot stomping on the floor, the death god domain fully erupted. Red and white colored light instantly covered the battlefield, forcing back Bibi Dong's death domain, keeping away the death domain's poison. At the same time, a ray of golden light poured into the sea god trident, making this divine instrument once again release its proper radiance. In the previous battle, because Tang San had instantly killed two powers one after another, quickly releasing his spirit abilities, Bibi Dong's violent attack hadn't even given him time to prompt the sea god trident as he strenuously endured under Bibi Dong's suppression. Now he could finally catch a breath. The golden trident swung in a circle, relying on unfixed storm's defensive power and a golden ring of light to dissolve those blood-sucking spider thorns. After dissolving Bibi Dong's attack, Tang San retreated rather than advance. Using Ghost Shadow perplexing step, he swiftly moved back, intense golden blue light rising in you, blue silver avatar launching. He was a control type spirit master, not a power attack type. In this kind of battle, he should place even more emphasis on control, and not on a duel to the death with Bibi Dong. Their side was undoubtedly weaker than Bibi Dong's side in overall strength, and the more it dragged out the worse it would get. But right now they still had to stall, to fight for enough time for Grandmasters Heaven Do Spirit Master Legion and the Tang Army. Drawn by his presence, Bibi Dong slowly advanced towards Tang San. She already hated him to the extreme, and even with the major issues with the Sacred Dragon Legion, right now she was more anxious to deal with Tang San right in front of her. There was no telling what kind of major headache he would give her if she left this youth alone. Amidst a loud sound, Tang San's face showed an intense divine light. With the Sea God Trident's main form, it wasn't hard for him to block Bibi Dong. The Sea God Trident produced circle after circle of golden light, spreading towards Bibi Dong. Seeing these golden rings, Bibi Dong couldn't keep her expression from changing. She still deeply remembered that it was because of this golden ring of light that she was forced to use her Knight's spirit ability Undying Body last time in Star Do Great Forest. And even so, she had still been severely injured. Consequently, seeing the unfixed storm unleashed from Tang San's Sea God Trident, Bibi Dong naturally halted in the air, waving both hands. Boy purple and black light condensed in front of her, completely protecting her within. A trace of a smile appeared at the corner of Tang San's mouth. That he could trap Bibi Dong back then wasn't with his own power, but rather the Sea God's. And with the distance in spirit power between him and Bibi Dong, the chance of success for the unfixed storm was undoubtedly very small. Of course he wouldn't do anything pointless. The moment those rings of golden light forced Bibi Dong back, they separated to either side, each moving to envelop the title Douluo fighting Xiaowu, as well as Douluo's opponent, Blowfish Douluo Shui. Meanwhile, Tang San's fourth spirit ring also brightened abruptly. 9 rays of golden light simultaneously shot out of the ground and producing a golden cage below each of Bibi Dong's 9 people, trapping them within. Even though these cages could only delay spirit masters on the title Douluo for a bit and would be vaporized by their powerful attacks, fights between true experts would often lack just this instant. At this moment, Tang San truly displayed his power as a control type title Douluo. With the opponents before them suddenly slowed, the spirit masters on Tang San's side naturally wouldn't let the opportunity slip them by. Daimyo Bai and Juzul King were always near each other. With this moment's chance, they simultaneously dashed toward each other, intense light abruptly condensing in midair. Yang Wudi's soul-breaking spear released even more light. Snakelens's Douluo had just broken down the blue-silver prison surrounding him, when he was already met head-on by the soul-breaking spear heedlessly advancing. This attack was condensed from all of Yang Wudi's spirit power. There was no way to defend. Snakelens's Douluo clearly felt that there was no way to dodge this spear, and he could no longer endure always being suppressed by Yang Wudi. Forcefully shifting Yang Wudi's target on his body by 10 centimeters, he wielded his snakelens like a warsaber, directly chopping down on Yang Wudi. It seemed as if he would take Yang Wudi with him in death. Yang Wudi of course wouldn't retreat. If he did, he wasn't the Breaking Clan's clan chief. With a soft puffing sound, the soul-breaking spear stabbed straight through Snakelens's Douluo's chest, and at the same time Yang Wudi dashed forward, dodging the sharp head of the Snakelens, his shoulder instead being heavily struck by its shaft. The two powers spit out clouds of blood almost simultaneously. The spirits also disappeared almost instantly. The instant heavy injuries made them both unable to maintain their spirits, and the spirit power erupting right in between them forcibly flung both of them back. Yang Wudi's injuries were extremely serious. His entire left shoulder was smashed by the lance, so much that even 4 ribs were broken. His internal organs also heavily damaged. But Snakelens's Douluo was even more miserable than him. Although he had avoided wounding his heart, Yang Wudi's spear had opened a large hole in his chest, completely skewering an entire lung, and even brushing his spine. After he was flung back, Snakelens's Douluo was immediately paralyzed on the ground, no longer able to get up. With such a serious injury, he had already lost the power to keep fighting. The battle had already grown extremely desperate from this moment. Elsewhere, Mahonjan incarnated as the 7-headed fire phoenix suddenly grew yet another head. This was a variation he got after his spirit rings rose to 8. Intense phoenix flames instantly wrapped up the enemy in front of him, and with Tang San's death god domain plus Ning Rongrong's comprehensive boost, his strength was already completely title Douluo level. The phoenix spirit's formidable flame attribute was undoubtedly manifested in this moment, invading the opponent's body like bone maggots. But he himself was also lashed by the opponent's spirit ability, and was knocked flying. Oscar's circumstances weren't any better than Xiaowu's. He had no way to forcibly fight the opponent, and could only use the instant bought by Tang San's blue-silver prison to immediately eat another mirror image sausage, retreating fully at the same time, while pulling out a caterpillar-shaped transparent little sausage from his chest pocket. This sausage released bizarre energy fluctuations. Swallowing it in one gulp, in just an instant, Oscar seemed to glow with youth again. His spirit power instantly returned to its peak. He once again produced his clone, which lunged. This was Oscar's 8th spirit ability, Crystal Caterpillar Sausage. Effect, instantly completely restores spirit power, gives the whole body like a cardiac stimulant, also eating 1 erect gold fly and 1 stimulating pink sausage. An intense phoenix image erupted behind him. This was Mahonjan's Phoenix Cloud Piercing Strike. The clone mirror sausage he ate just before was made using Mahonjan's blood. Oscar's own strength was undeniably not particularly strong. Even using his erect gold fly couldn't more than make his abilities more efficient, but his mirror image sausage gave him the power of myriad spirit abilities, suddenly transforming from a power attack type white tiger spirit master into a phoenix battle spirit master, turning from melee to ranged combatant, instantly caught his opponent unprepared, plus the Crystal Caterpillar Sausage fully restoring his spirit power. This Phoenix Cloud Piercing Strike instantly blasted that title Douluo flying. That title Douluo fighting Xiaowu had already forced her to use invincible golden body twice, and teleportation was launched without pause. Just at this instant he was trapped by the blue-silver prisoner moment, and Xiaowu also instantly retreated. Before this title Douluo could break that blue-silver prison, golden rings of light were already enveloping him. He felt his body tighten, and was already completely unable to move a finger. Elsewhere, equally targeted by Tang San's unfixed storm, Blowfish Douluo was luckier. He felt a burst of panic, and immediately returned to his normal form. Not only did Dugubo's Jade Phosphor Serpent Emperor knock him away, he even used his spines to leave a few wounds on Dugubo. Unfixed storm only had a 50% success rate. Even so, Tang San was already quite satisfied. After all, he was currently dealing head-on with Bibi Dong's enormous pressure. To have the leisure to stun a title Douluo for 8 seconds was already quite good. Xiaowu had a bellyful of anger after being suppressed by that blood devil Mad Bear Spirit Mad Bear Douluo for so long. Seeing Tang San's unfixed storm hit, how could she let the opportunity slip by? With one teleportation, she arrived behind Mad Bear Douluo, her scorpion braid flinging out, winding around Mad Bear Douluo's neck, the toes of her right foot bracing against the enemy's lower back, waist bow launched, immediately flinging Mad Bear Douluo into midair. Xiaowu's red 6th spirit ring instantly brightened, and she turned into a blurry shadow shooting towards Mad Bear Douluo. Her 6th spirit ring was her previous 100,000-year spirit beast life spirit ring. When Tang San resurrected her and returned it to her body, it had incomparable affinity with her. Now that she launched the 100,000-year spirit ability from the spirit ring fused with her, it wasn't inferior to any title Douluo's 9th spirit ring. Plus her characteristics as a former 100,000-year spirit beast, her spirit power consumption wasn't particularly large. Nothingness, burst kill 8-stage drop, launched. In the air, Mad Bear Douluo was instantly wrapped up in red light, rapidly spinning as he smashed into the ground like a falling star. With Xiaowu's crisis temporarily resolved, Tang San also fell into his own crisis. Seeing unfixed storm's golden rings move to the title Douluo on either side, Bibi Dong's eyes fled with dreadful light. Intense spirit power fluctuations boiled to the limit, light flashing, the purple and black light already turning a miserable green. 6 black, 1 red and 2 black, 9 spirit rings instantly appeared. She had already released her second spirit, soul-eating spider emperor. Two giant dark green forepaws instantly closed together, a heaven-shaking dark green blade of light chopping straight at Tang San. Bibi Dong had focused her full strength in this one attack. That dark green light blade could be seen flickering extremely unsteadily in the air, distorted light making it basically impossible to judge where it would hit. Even with Tang San's level of mental strength, once it came into range of this attack would immediately be shattered by that distorted light. All probing effects completely obliterated. The enormous pressure made Tang San's heart and lungs feel like they would explode. Even holding the sea god trident before his chest couldn't weaken this feeling. A few golden rings of light produced by the trident were even cut in halves by that dark jade giant blade. All they could do was slightly slow it down. Tang San understood that Bibi Dong was already determined to kill him, whether on the battlefield or not. She had resolved to absolutely kill him. Facing such a crisis, even Tang San with his innumerable abilities deeply felt powerless before absolute strength. Even though Bibi Dong still wasn't showing the strength of a rank 99 title Douluo, with so many spirit rings, his rank 93 spirit power still couldn't quite hold out. Tang San understood that he was still a ways off from a true peak expert. The light in his eyes focused. In that instant, the sea god trident's golden light rose to the extreme. The brand on Tang San's forehead releasing sea god's light as deep as the ocean. Right now, all his energy was poured into this true divine tool in his hand. Tyrannical energy fluctuations instantly rose to a peak, glittering golden light rendering Tang San a gaudy golden color, turning, spinning, striking. Three simple motions were done as one, and in an instant, the power of heaven and earth seemed to condense within his simple motions. The sea god trident shot out an illusory seeming ray of golden light, as if piercing space. Distorted shadows played across it as it went straight for the dark jade light blade Bibi Dong shot. Bibi Dong's eyes were already filled with an ice-cold brilliance. Facing the golden 13 halberd's third form, one goes without return. She actually made a change that instantly turned Tang San pale with fright and filled his eyes with despair. The dark jade light blade separated from Bibi Dong's own control, twisting in midair. It actually circumvented Tang San's sea god trident, going straight for Tang San himself. And Bibi Dong's soul-eating spider emperor spurred again switched back to the death spider emperor. At the same time, her ninth spirit ring instantly brightened. Tang San of course understood what Bibi Dong was doing. She wanted to rely on her undying ability to face his golden 13 halberds one goes without return, and her attack would simultaneously fall on him. Back then, after Bibi Dong was seriously injured by this attack, she had carefully researched this dangerous divine ability that almost killed her. She had no certainty she could completely block it with spirit abilities, and instead thought up this method. She'd risk being injured again herself, but would also eliminate Tang San to forestall later danger. It seemed to her that even the total annihilation of the sacred dragon legion was less important than killing Tang San. If this youth continued maturing, he would become a fatal threat to her. Some distance away, the Hell White Tiger had already formed and instantly battered away the two title Douluo that were originally fighting Dai Mubai and Zhu Zuqing, then lunged in this direction. But the Hell White Tiger really was too far from Tang San. Even if they were even faster, it was still impossible to compare to the speed of Bibi Dong's attack. Ma Hongdan and Oscar wanted to assist, but the title Douluo fighting them went fully on the offensive, forcibly keeping them from interfering. Even though Ning Rongrong was giving Tang San a 6 attribute boost with all her strength, she also understood that the strength she could provide couldn't possibly let Tang San block the attack with his physical body. Yang Wudi had just produced a new soul-breaking spear, bracing himself to crawl up from the ground. Sword Douluo Chen Xin was equally using the 7-kill sword to press his opponent, but he also wasn't fast enough to come to his aid at the same time. Nobody had thought that Bibi Dong would actually be so valiant, using this kind of method to kill Tang San. Tang San had issued the golden 13 halberds one goes without return, and had no strength left. Targeted by an opponent of Bibi Dong's level, it was impossible for him to dodge. Facing an attack this strong, all he could do was wait. Even though it was just an instant, to Tang San it seemed to pass in slow motion. But just at this moment, a giant ball of red light fell from the sky, heavily smashing on that dark jade light blade with a sparkling golden luster. Xiao, woo, Tang San cried out. Boom, burst, shatter. In the heart of that explosion, even space was torn apart, countless fine black spatial cracks erupting from the center. Blood and flesh flew, countless corpse fragments were swallowed within those cracks. An already completely died red body was flying out in answer, heavily striking Tang San's chest and blocking in front of him, fully taking on the remaining dark jade light blade's aftermath. Bibi Dong's attack was one of her strongest spirit abilities, also the most powerful ability of the soul-eating spider emperor, space rending abyss cut. Along with her spirit power at rank 98 intensity, the might of this attack was absolutely at a level to ruin the heavens and extinguish the earth. With a bang, Tang San's body was flung back a full 30 meters before he was caught and stabilized by the Hell White Tiger. But on the other side, Bibi Dong's body was also instantly smashed by the sea god trident's one goes without return's terrifying power and exploded into countless fragments thrown all over. The sea god trident shot behind her without any pause, rushing into the spirit empire army several kilometers away like a golden meteor. Where the golden light passed, all obstacles turned to nothing. In a 10-meter diameter, reaching all the way to the Jelling Pass fort, all the heavy armored soldiers standing there completely disappeared into nothing. That golden light finally condensed on one spot of the walls. With an enormous explosion, a 5-meter diameter hole was cut straight through the 100-meter thick walls. Finally, the sea god trident lost its golden light and fell below the walls, blasting out a huge pit. Rip, hum. The godly Juga crossbow's second volley finished. A large cloud of bloody mist filling the sky once again. This time, the number of sacred dragon legion spirit masters that died before the crossbow bolts was even more enormous. All agility attack type spirit masters below rank 70 were completely wiped out. Grandmaster finally gave the order to attack. Heaven those spirit masters. Tang Army, kill. Marshal Ji Long simultaneously raised the long spear in his hand, roaring with angry eyes, shouting one word, kill, pouring almost all of his level 80 spirit power into his voice. 10 heavy cavalry legions, 10 light cavalry legions, instantly charged Jelling Pass like an infinite tsunami. Charging furthest ahead was still the Tang Army. On horseback, they were just winding up the mechanisms for the third volley. Their godly Juga crossbows still held 16 sharp bolts. Within dense purple mist, Bibi Dong's shattered body reformed, shouting, Sacred Dragon Legion retreat, heavy cavalry and infantry, meet the enemy. To her, the life or death of those heavy cavalry and heavy infantry wasn't important. What was crucial was that Spirit Hall couldn't be allowed to sway, even though she still didn't know the extent of the Sacred Dragon Legion's losses. The casualties were already extremely miserable. If they were pursued and attacked by the enemy like this, there was no telling how many would die. Those attackers were also Spirit Masters, as well as that unknown weapon that could even cause substantial casualties to Spirit Masters. As they say, defeat is like a landslide. The godly Juga crossbows 2 volleys had already extinguished the Sacred Dragon Legion's fighting spirit, adding in the deaths of their commanders. At Bibi Dong's order to retreat, it was every man for himself.